Hello, and welcome to day 26 of Selena Says Stretch. Thank you for staying with me all this time and being consistent. Today we're going to work on a deer pose. We, again, did this one seated. We're going to do it from the reclined position, just to see how the stretch changes, and we're eliminating all that stress on the spine. So it's giving you options. If the stretch is working for you, but maybe not from the seated position, you now have an idea of where to go with that. So what we're going to do is, again, lay back on the mat, belly side up. Head and neck in neutral position. When you're ready, knees are bent, feet on the mat, knees pointing up. Now, I want you to walk the feet a little wider than hip distance. And you can feel free to adjust as we get into the pose. What we're going to do is focus on the knees, and we're going to let both knees fall in the same direction. I'm dropping over to the right, so both knees coming towards you. They may or may not touch the ground, and that's okay. We're getting a nice stretch into the knees. We're massaging the IT band. Now that is not something we want to stretch because that stabilizes the kneecaps and the legs. So you don't want to stretch your IT band. But this is a very gentle stimulation for it that can help loosen it and take away some of the inflammation and aggravation it may give you. We're also getting some gentle work into the hips, a little bit of a small twist here. So hopefully your shoulders are anchored and your hips are anchored, but that left hip may be slightly elevated. We will want to try to keep the body anchored down and let gravity work on the legs. Very simple, easy stretch. If you remember, we did this from the seated position, so just this is a little less intensity. If you want more intensity, here's an option. I would suggest you don't do this if you have any knee, ankle, or foot problems, but we're going to take the right foot and rest it up on top of the left knee, and then let that knee drop down. What you're doing is adding a little bit of resistance to that left leg stretch. If that feels too intense, or if it feels awkward or wrong, then just release that right foot back to the mat. As I always say, there's always options, there's always choices. If your body's saying, I wonder how it would feel to do this, go ahead and try it. If it's not what you thought it would be, move on. If you find it's a great stretch, stay there and enjoy. So we're going to stay here for one more breath. If your foot is on the knee, go ahead and release it. Roll your knees back to neutral, taking some nice big cleansing breaths here in the middle. When we're twisting, even if it's slight, it can compromise the breathing, so we want to get some nice deep breaths here. We don't want the body getting short of oxygen or moving into a panic state. And we're ready to go to the other side. So again, reposition the feet wider than the hips. Rebalance the back, the shoulders, the neck, and head. Both knees going the opposite way. So if you're with me, we're going to the left. Both legs drop down. And you can change where your feet are. You don't have to keep them in that same position where you started. Just make those changes so that you're feeling that stretch again. In the left leg, you may be feeling it more in the inner thigh, a little bit into the left low back. On the right leg, you may be feeling it all down the right side, through the knee, through the IT band, even a little bit of a twist through your midsection. Lungs are very open, so you should be able to get some nice big inhales and exhales flowing. Just stay here and enjoy this stretch. Again, noticing, is this side different than the other side? If you're consistently noticing one side is different, then maybe you want to think about how you sit or sleep or stand. Make some adjustments to help the body have a better balance. And when you're ready, we'll release the legs slowly. Ooh, you're right, I forgot to do the extra. So if you want to put the left foot up on the right knee for some added resistance, let's go ahead and do that. I don't want you to be imbalanced. Even as your guide, I sometimes get confused and caught up in the moment as the stretch was feeling good, and I forgot that there was a little more to it. So exploring the pose, exploring this side versus side one, comparing this to the same stretch that we did seated. Maybe you prefer one over the other. And now let's go ahead and release the foot. Move the legs back to neutral. Shake out the legs. Close out your session with some nice deep breaths. And I appreciate you. I'm glad you're here. And I send you love. Go spread that to your community. Spread that into you. And I'll see you tomorrow. Namaste.